Greetings everyone, this is Connor from Dagora TV, and in this video I'm talking about why I'm okay with Fallout 76 being online. So as a little setup, as everyone will know, Fallout 76 was announced fairly recently. They had an announcement trailer after they had that big stream that went on for about 24 hours where they had, the Vault Boy and the screen behind him that said please stand by on it. They released a trailer when Todd Howard came out in front of the camera with his watch on, said it's been long enough, yada yada yada, jokes, funny, great time. Went out. Trailer came on and showed, a Vault. Fallout 76 revealed a new Fallout game, and then they said we will know more at E3. And since then, as many will know, there's been a lot of leaks, a lot of new information that's came out from, people who are reportedly working at Bethesda, or, sources that have been sending, information to, reputable sources, like one of them being Jason Schreier at Kotaku. And he and many others are saying that the game is going to be online. Jason Schreier even going as far to say that if you are expecting a single-player Fallout game, a single-player Fallout RPG, you're going to be very disappointed. And then he's come out numerous times after that saying things like, he's still very much excited for Fallout 76, saying that, that it's still going to be a Bethesda-style game with quests and story and stuff, but it's just going to have a co-op element to it, and have a survival element to it as well. And I just kind of wanted to come out and say why that's okay, because, some people are coming out and, in a way overreacted before we've seen any of the game. No information's confirmed by Bethesda as of yet. This is, leaks that very much look realistic and, fit the mold of what Todd Howard and Pete Hines have said, that BGS are working on something that is very different than what they've done, but still a Bethesda-style game and bigger than anything they've done before. So, Fallout 76 definitely does, fit that mold in a way. An online co-op game is definitely bigger and, different than what they've done before, but in the Fallout universe, and if it's treated like Fallout 4 and it looks like it's got the same graphical style of Fallout 4, it's still a Bethesda-style game. And I kind of wanted to talk about why I think that is kind of okay, really, because, I've seen people really upset about how, it's going to be online, kind of see it's portraying the roots of Bethesda and everything, portraying the roots of Fallout, and people, going the other way, saying how excited they are that it's going, into a brand new direction, and, Fallout was getting old and stale, and reinventing it is something that they've wanted for a long time. I think I'm somewhere in the middle on that, and I kind of want to share my opinions, because in a way, I'm not subscribed to the Fallout argument of that people are making that this should stay true to its roots and not tinker with it, like they did with the Elder Scrolls. Fallout is a game series that should be stuck in the way of a single player RPG, when in reality Fallout as a series has reinvented itself more than numerous series, more than things like the Elder Scrolls, for instance. We've the Elder Scrolls has had single player games throughout the whole life cycle of its series, apart from the Elder Scrolls Online. And while it has had a couple of installments here and there, with that are different with things like like I said, the Elder Scrolls Online, the Elder Scrolls Legends, the Fallout game series is, a victim of this as well. For instance, they started off as isometric tactics games, and while they're, Fallout 1 and 2 and Tactics are some of my favourite games of all time, it took a big step to go into Fallout 3, and I really like, the old games, and taking a risk to go into Fallout 3 and completely change the breadth and scope of it. And with what Bethesda did with that when they first got hold of the Fallout series was a huge risk, and people were definitely really excited for it, because it was a big step up from going to these isometric tactics games of finding out what and really setting up the world and everything, and really kind of going into a lot more detail, I think, as well, than what the Bethesda games have done. But going from that, in the sense of the way you're approaching different quests and missions, to taking that turn-based feeling of of making it into a kind of more action RPG and using the VAT system and everything, was a huge step forward and completely reinvented the series. And by God, did it work out for them. Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 in particular were immensely well-selling copies. But even if that's too long ago for people, there's also Brotherhood of Steel, which was like a hack and slash game, not a good game in the slightest, but still a step in a different direction and reinventing this series in a way. And also releasing a phone game in Fallout Shelter, when everyone was excited at E3 when they dropped another one, and it dropped a phone game where you're kind of managing a vault and everything. And people are kind of saying that Fallout is should be stuck in the single player ideology, and I think that's kind of not true to the series itself, and that's why I kind of am okay with Fallout taking in different directions. And I think Fallout as a game series as well, while we do have dark and serious moments in them, as a whole, it's kind of a little bit ridiculous in a way, with super mutants running around, mental stuff happening around the world and everything. And I feel like you can kind of, in a way, kind of do what you want to do with that series, much more so than what you could with the Elder Scrolls, for instance, where I think Elder Scrolls is much more of a slave to its lore than what Fallout is, in my opinion, because I think Fallout, while with it being in the post-apocalyptic setting, and you know, with this kind of unknown quantity about what's going on in a lot of different vaults and everything, they can kind of just kind of make stuff up and be really creative with it. And I think going into an online setting definitely leads to that being the case a lot more as well. And another reason why I'm okay with it as well, other than it being reinvented itself, is that the Fallout series, the Fallout game 76, looks like it's going to be a co-op game and not an MMO. There's a lot of leaks and a lot of, you know, people reading information in the trailer that it could be a maximum of 5 people, and I think that is, you know, really good news, to be fair with you, because that is really sticking to the forefront of what kind of ESO pitched on us of being a Bethesda game that we can play with our friends. Whereas in reality, in the MMO, you know, you've got a ton of people running around you and kind of interrupting your quest and everything, and it didn't really work out, and a lot of people like me feeling really disappointed. Whereas with it being a co-op game, kind of really makes sense for the Fallout world as well, because in an MMO we're seeing a lot of people running around the world and seeing a lot of people doing a lot of different missions that you're doing and talking to the same people that you're talking to, and it really does break the immersion. Whereas with it being a co-op game, and you know, with it being only 5 people, you're not seeing hundreds of people running around the wasteland, which is meant to be in a post-apocalyptic state and be fairly empty. Instead, we're seeing you and a maximum of 4 others apparently, or if you know, if it is going to be a way where you can play it single player and having 4 AI with you, that kind of makes sense with the essence of what the Vault is really, because you know, the Vault system of what we've seen with 76 was meant to go out and rebuild society, and you know, having a few friends with you in different areas of the world, it looks like it's going to be Northern or Western Virginia. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. And I think being able to play with a friend in a game like this is a really test to be able to play a Bethesda game with a friend. Because, you know, a lot of us have I've talked about many times that I've done so many times when I've done a dungeon in Skyrim and stuff, I thought, oh god, it'd be really cool if I had my friend with me here, instead of having, you know, Lydia or someone like that. It'd be really, really decent to have someone with me to go and complete this quest with. And in reality, you know, we've never really had that. Some of us thought ESO was going to be that, and it tends to not being that kind of idea, not really following on with that. But instead, Fallout kind of seems to be a test with the leaks that we're seeing and stuff. It's going to go along that lines of a Bethesda style game. We'll definitely see more at E3. We'll have to comment on that much more there, and I'll obviously wait for more information. But at the minute, it definitely looks like it's going to be that kind of co-op ideology where you can play Bethesda style game with your friends, and it's something that I've wanted to do. And I think Fallout is more ideal to experience that with than Elder Scrolls, for what I said earlier, with the way that the Fallout Vault is definitely presented. And for people saying how, who could maybe put a comment of saying how ESO was a Bethesda game or whatever, you know, it was under the ZeniMax banner and everything, Elder Scrolls Online, in my opinion, was not a Bethesda style game, mainly for the way that they did the leveling of their enemies at launch. I think now you could make a claim that it is more Bethesda-like, because at launch they had the rubber banding leveling system that we kind of see in games like, you know, The Witcher 3 and things like that, where you kind of can't really go out of your area without leveling up too much first. You know, you've kind of got to really do all the quests in your area. You can't pick a direction and run in it, for instance, which is what a lot of us like to do with Elder Scrolls games. You can't go out and explore the wider world without doing quests and leveling up your character too much beforehand, which is fine for some other games, but it's not how Bethesda tend to do it, and it's not a Bethesda style game. I'm not saying that, you know, in Bethesda games they don't have areas where you know, that are too hard for you and you got to come back later. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But in Bethesda, you definitely could walk around all 4 corners of that world and really experience it. And that's kind of what we experienced with Fallout as well, you know, and I want that to continue with Fallout 76, and by the leaks that I've heard and the people like Jason Schreier commenting on that, it seems that's kind of what it's going to be, but with your friends. Another reason why I'm okay with it as well is that I'm kind of excited by the premise of where the world is set and where the game is going to be set in context of the Fallout universe. You know, so close after the vaults have been dropped, there's going to be a very different Fallout experience than what we've seen, you know, in, you know, Fallout 4 and Fallout in New Vegas, Fallout 3 and stuff. It's going to be so much different to that because it's set so far earlier, it's so much earlier than those games, so we're going to see less you know, buildings, less settlements and stuff like that, and it's going to be really, really cool to kind of rebuild and everything. And while I'm not the biggest fan of building stuff, I've got friends who want to play this game who are, you know, the fans of that kind of thing, who like, you know, cosmetics and making stuff look cool and building stuff up. So having that experience with a friend to kind of do that stuff with is going to be really cool, and I'm really interested and intrigued to see, if it is an online game, how they kind of operate. You know, is it just going to be those guys doing the exact same things over and over again, or is it going to be splitting us up a bit where we're going to get that single player experience, but then how is that going to work out for the people that want to play the game on their own? There's a lot of questions that we've got about Fallout 76, but I think the point that we can say is that let's wait and see what they show us at E3. Let's not overreact yet and say we're not buying this game, we're going to skip on it off. All they've really shown us is like an 80-second trailer. We haven't seen anything really of the game yet. It's just people jumping to conclusions of a lot of leaks that are, frankly, quite a lot of them is bullshit, but some of them are definitely seem reputable, and let's not jump to conclusions based on what they've told us yet. Let's hang on and wait, and that's kind of why I think being in the middle is okay. You know, like if you're getting too excited for what the leaks are telling you, I think they're gonna fall short of that, and you're gonna be disappointed. But then I think the opposite of that, it goes to if you're going into the E3 conference with a predetermined mind of disappointment for what Fallout is going in and the direction Fallout is going in, I don't think you're really going to benefit from that at all. I think wait and see what they show us, and if they're not intrigued, they're not interested by what they're showing there, kind of saying stuff that doesn't really tickle your fancy in a way of what you want from a game by Bethesda, then by all means, you know, you don't have to purchase it or you don't have to look any further into it. But I just say wait and see for what they've got to show us. But thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you really let me know what you think about Fallout 76. Are you okay with it? Are you really excited to see what they show? I'm definitely excited to see what they show us, but I'm okay with the game being online, you know, as long as they take the right and appropriate steps to make it a good game. But by all means, let's wait and see what they show us at E3. I hope you enjoyed this video. Show me what you think about Fallout 76 and the stuff they've shown us so far and the leaks and everything. And I will see you guys later. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at DegoraC, where I'll be talking a lot more about Fallout 76 and Bethesda news in detail. Goodbye.